Everybody likes a comeback kid, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. But what the Black Planarian Flatworm does is way beyond a come-from-behind win. This pond citizen has a regenerative ability so extraordinary that it would give a thinking creature a Ship of Theseus-style identity crisis. Sometimes that's what it takes to survive in life, death, and taxonomy. Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And now see, you did such a good job. Now I'm fumbling. And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can visit us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on. And if you'd like to donate, just visit patreon.com/ldtaxonomy or click on donate on our website.
And today we're talking about a flat character. But more on that later.
Ooh, so you're talking about the entire cast of Rings of Power. Nice.
Yeah, or Legolas in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, well, they found out that they tried to make they're like, oh, Legolas is an immortal elf. It's really hard to get him to like emote and also be like a relatable character. What if you made a show about elves? I bet you everyone will love it.
I guess he's got a character arc. It's more like a character slight turn.
No, he goes from hating dwarves to having one as his best friend.
Yeah.
That is an arc if I've ever seen one. I know that's an arc with a buttress.
It's more like it really feels like Gimli's arc, and then in Legolas just like nods, like and in agreement along with Gimli. It's like, okay, me too as well. Me as well for that one. It's like when someone buys a gift, puts all the time and effort into wrapping it, and then your name gets put on
sign
it.
my name.
Yeah.
But except who was the one who's the first one to call them friends? That was Legolas. How about side by side?
Because who could not be friends with Gimli? Who's putting in all this work?
He's socially obligated to be friends with someone who is like really pursuing this hard.
All right.
Anywho.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
We're talking about I put Planarian Flatworm here because I could not find a common name for it. I couldn't find a name for it in the common tongue.
I know, despite the fact that like every article about it was like, this is the most common flatworm. Like
we can call it the common Planarian Flatworm, the common flatworm or something like that. I don't know, but everyone was just calling it by its nomenclature because no one bothered to give this thing an actual name.
It should just be called Black Flatworm for reasons we'll find out later.
It is called a Planarian, which is not a good name for it because that's the entire family of animals. So that's too broad. It's called the Black Planarian, Black Flatworm. Those are good. We're going to call it here the Regenerating Ribbon and Booger Frights instead of Boogie Nights.
Nice.
Because I think this thing looks like a booger. Let's taxonomize this captain. The kingdom is one you know, love, and are in. That kingdom is Animalia. The phylum is Platyhelminthes.
Mm-hmm.
Platyhelminthes. I guess we can put the emphasis there. The class is Rhabdidophora.
He did.
The order is Triclodida. Triclodida, maybe. The family is Planariidae. There's two I's there. Ia, Planariidae. The genus is Polycelis. and the species is nigra. So Polycelis nigra. That, since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for my favorite part of the show, and the listener's favorite part of the show, nitty-gritty nomenclature. The part of the show where I ask you, Joe, a question, and that question is the same every time. What is the English translation for the binomial nomenclature? In this case, it is Polycelis nigra. Does that mean A, many-eyed black thing, B, black many cells, C, shadowy multi-swimmer, or D, dark many skies?
Many eyes.
Many-eyed black thing?
Yeah.
Final answer?
Yeah, I guess so.
That is incorrect.
I don't think it has any eyes, but it's no
It
eyes.
has eyes.
What's what?
Eye spots.
Which one is it?
It is black many cells. Cells or chambers. So like the problem is with this one is like poly and nigra, obviously you have a good idea of what those two things mean. So cellus is really what we're working with. And it means cells or chambers. So it's a multicellular organism that is black.
Yeah.
Very original.
Great.
Can't think of anything else that would fall into that category. All right, let's talk about what this looks like. We've already hinted at it enough. It is a flatworm. I think we've talked about flatworms before in the past. But this, it looks, to me, it looks like a booger.
Mm-hmm.
All I see is booger. It looks like a little undercooked noodle. That is, I mean, when you look at pictures of it, it looks brown.
It looks like a cat's arm to me.
Cat's arm?
Yeah, it's got a little paw on the end. It's like a disembodied cat's arm.
Oh, yes. With it does look like it's searching for cheese. But I cannot see any pictures of it where it is definitively black. I'm seeing light brown, dark brown, and a lot of green, like straight up green. So it is a little odd that it's called the black flatworm. I would call it the green flatworm if I had to choose one. But yeah, it just looks like a living booger. Smooth, slimy skin, kind of like a slug. It does have 2 eye spots on its head. They don't see much, but they do take in light. It is tapered at both ends, so you know if it's not curling around, it kind of looks like maybe a grain of rice, or something.
It's a little nothing.
Yeah, little nothing. It's like a bookmark for like the world's grossest book, which I guess that would be a toss up between 50 Shades of Grey and the Necronomicon.
Well, it's any book you use this as a bookmark on. It becomes the world's grossest book.
Because it has a worm as a worm as the bookmark.
Yeah.
But this would be one where like both the contents of the book and the book itself are gross. So it's just a double whammy. And this is smaller than most flatworms. There's a reason why we didn't call it the greater planarian black flatworm. But how small is it, Joe? Is it the size of your arm? Are we picturing this just huge eyeless slug, or are we in the microscopic realm?
Let's find out. Welcome to the Beloved Measure Up segment, the official listeners part of the show. The part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show that's introduced by you when you send in an audio yourself saying, singing, or chittering the words measure up into ldtagsonomy@gmail.com. We don't have a new measure up intro this week, but that means I'm going to describe an animal, and you're going to tell, because we have found out that Teams has a noise gate that will not allow you to hear what I want you to hear. So I'm going to give you
Yes.
some hints as to a particular character or animal in media. And we'll find out if you know what it is.
Okay.
So in a book series, these are dull, worm-like magical creatures resembling flatworms in their simple, soft-bodied structure. They are mentioned in this particular book as creatures studied in Care of Magical Creatures class. They're described as sluggish, mucus-producing worms that live in damp environments.
Oh, no. I'm going to have to sift through all of the nonsense words that are clattering around in my brain from the Harry Potter series.
Okay, so you've got the series. You know which book it is mentioned in?
I'm gonna have to imagine it's The Prisoner of Azkaban,
100% correct.
right? Because that's the first time they go to Care of Magical Creatures class.
I didn't even remember that, so that's good.
I have read all the books and I've watched all the movies many times. The question is, I mean, there's like flesh-eating slugs, which might be
No.
it. There's bow truckles. I don't know exactly what those are, but
No.
maybe that falls in. There's
It's a compound word, and the second word is worms.
yeah, I don't know.
The correct...
Ron throws up some slugs, I think.
No. Well, I don't know.
I don't know any Harry Potter creatures where the last word is worms.
The correct answer is flobberworms.
Oh, that was not going to happen.
You get
So
the book.
I'm glad
you get the
I'm glad to hear I
particular
wasn't
book.
close.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. That's really the only book where Care of Magical Creatures is a class that
I've seen all the movies like
go to.
4 times, and I don't remember Care of Magical Creatures being a class.
That's the one that Hagrid teaches, and then they have the hippogriff.
That makes a lot of sense. I don't remember
Draco.
that being the name of the class,
Oh.
and I definitely don't remember anything other than the hippogriff. So
See, and also I played Hogwarts Legacy, where you have a class called Care of Magical Creatures. Done.
well, there you go.
You gotta live it. You gotta live the fandom if you're gonna. But apparently, I didn't live it enough to identify these worms. Flobber worms.
Yeah. Flobberworms.
That's with Robin Williams, right? Globber worms.
Yeah. Flubberworms. So let's talk about their length. There you have a length of 12 millimeters or 0.47 inches. How many flatworms laid end to end go into some of these things? Which one of these is correct? 10 go into the length of a European freshwater pearl mussel. B, 18 go into the diameter of a water lily leaf liver. C, 6.7 go into the length of a North African newt.
Water lily leaves are pretty big. I'm gonna go with that one.
Final answer?
Mm-hmm.
That is in... Wait a minute. You know what? I accidentally made one of them wrong, and you've chosen that one. Why don't
The odds were ever in my favor, and I still got it wrong.
What if we call that a win? You definitely... If this was 2 truths and a lie, you picked out the lie.
I picked that's what I was going for.
Okay. All right.
I identified which one was not like the others. There we go.
That's true. 100%. Okay. Let's talk about their weight. I don't know. 1 milligram? It's a nothing. They don't weigh these things. But I've asked ChatGPT to give it the old college try, and it thinks it's probably 1 milligram or 0.001 grams.
Do you like that conversion? What the most
No.
useless conversion? Yeah, we understand the metric system. What is it in?
Yeah, you just moved the decimal a couple places, huh?
What if I'm an imperial? Okay, 1 second. Let me
Instead
make
of a
sure I
storm
didn't
cloak?
do this wrong again. Yeah. Is it A? 100,867 go into the weight of a European water vole. B, 10,400 go into the weight of a papyrus scroll. Or C, 59 go into the weight of a freshwater shrimp.
It doesn't rhyme. The third one doesn't rhyme.
They didn't rhyme on purpose at all. It was just a beautiful coincidence.
Go into a grassy knoll.
Yeah.
The mountain troll.
If a mountain troll was real, I would have done that. Do you want to know what any of these things are? Let's talk about a particular papyrus.
Okay.
Papyrus scroll made from Cyprus papyrus plant used in North Africa in Egyptian writing. We're talking about a medium-sized average scroll based on archaeological estimates.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to weigh all of my scrolls to get a good idea of what an average would be. Just kidding, I don't have any.
A European
Scrolls.
water vole is a rodent found in Europe, in the rivers.
Probably a pretty cute one. Voles are pretty cute.
They're just mice with a different demeanor.
A cute one?
Acute. They're not obtuse.
Not an obtuse demeanor.
It looks like a beaver with a mouse tail.
I am. Oh yeah, that's not that cute.
That's like isn't this a muskrat? What's the difference between a muskrat and a vole?
Where it lives, probably, and its sexual isolation.
If you leak
I'm going
Doge documents, you're a muskrat. Shrimp, papyrus scroll, or vole?
Papyrus.
Final answer?
Yep.
The correct
I'm
answer.
going B both times.
The correct answer is
for both.
59 go into the freshwater shrimp.
The shrimp.
It's so small, 59 go into a shrimp.
And shrimp are delicious.
That's fair enough. Do you have any small but significant facts before we get into the major facts?
Flatworm. Sure. This particular flatworm is found in freshwater spots all across Europe, North America, and parts of Asia. It likes streams and ponds. It likes living under rocks, in the muck and mire of shallow freshwater areas where it can be gross in peace by itself. It is carnivorous. Yeah, I want to. Who doesn't want a nice freshwater pond to be gross by yourself?
I think that was in
be
Walden.
gross in peace.
Walden Pond.
Walden Pond is where you can be gross by yourself.
That's what. What's his name?
Thoreau. Thoreau.
Yeah, that's all he wanted.
You just want to. Can I just be gross in peace and write a poem about it? The flatworm is carnivorous. They'll eat protozoa, small crustacean, insect larvae. They have a straw-like mouth that they just suck things up with. They are hermaphroditic, which means they play both sides of the card table, and they can exchange genetic material with other flatworms, and there is no gender distinction. And they can also self-fertilize when they are feeling antisocial. Again, being gross by yourself in a pond. They will when they take over prey, they will glide over it with their slimy body and then kind of just slurp them up like a vacuum. They can live anywhere between a few months and a year. And they are pretty solitary. You see something like that's this small, and you'd think that there would just be thousands of them in one area, but they're pretty solitary. They don't need to congregate because they don't need each other to reproduce, and they are obviously a nice snack for fish, amphibians, and birds. And fun fact, their brain is a simple knot of nerves, rather than like a actual brain. It's a little bit more jellyfish-like, Cnidarian-like than other animals. So they can tell that there is light and that they feel things
like sadness,
hope, and justice.
More like
and rebellions are built
movement
on
and pressure.
Yes. And I will leave it at that. Do you have any major facts? Big ones.
I sure do. Polycellus, well, the entire genus and really the family, but specifically the genus, is renowned for its ability to regenerate complete organisms from small body fragments. It has an incredible regeneration ability. And the reason the regeneration powerhouse is something called neoblasts, which sounds like a
nice
2000s computer game, but it's not.
Neoblast is definitely would definitely be like my handle on in like a Matrix Reloaded game.
Yeah,
the Matrix Online, I would be Neoblast.
Or it could also be a hotly contested zone in the Ukraine-Russian war.
They would call that the Neoblast.
Oblast is like it's a term, Oblast, but Neoblast. That's the joke.
And this is the new one.
Yeah.
So it's the Neoblast.
It's like an administrative division or region in Russia. An oblast.
Neoblast is what the main character of the Matrix learned how to do at the end of the movie.
That's true.
that instead of he's doing his Superman thing, he's doing his Neoblast.
Well, okay, Neoblast. What are they? What are they actually? They are pluripotent stem cells, unique to planarians, that make up 20 to 30% of the worm's body cells. So I wonder if polycellus means not many cells, but cells with many applications, which is what a pluripotent cell is.
That makes sense.
These cells are distributed throughout the body and are responsible for regenerating tissue and tissue maintenance. When polycellus flatworms are injured or cut, neoblasts will rapidly divide and migrate to the wound site. They differentiate into various cell types, which is like neurons, muscles, epidermis, to rebuild missing tissues. So pluripotent cells, stem cells, these are cells that have unlimited potential. They're not like a skin cell, which is only a skin cell. You know, a pluripotent cell can grow into anything. You have
it's a wild card in phase 10.
Yeah, babies, young people have them in droves. Neotenic axolotls have them. And that's why they're able to regenerate. But this makes up like 30% of the worm's body cells. So they're like, there's a ton of them percentage-wise in this animal.
So then, ostensibly, if they got cut, there's a good chance that they would just need to become more pluripotent cells. not anything specific, but because 30% of their body is pluripotent cells, is like, well, I guess we'll just stay the way we are because that's all. That's what got cut.
Yeah. Well, if you cut something important, we're gonna turn into that.
You can turn into that thing.
After amputation, neoblasts form blastema, which is a mass of undifferentiated cells at the wound site. Then the blastema develops into regenerated structures and guide molecular signal, which are guided by molecular signals. So molecules are telling these blastemas what to develop into. So like if you cut it in half, it needs to seal those
That's how
wounds.
DNA works. Molecules are telling anything what to do.
Yeah.
It's code.
Yeah. So they can regenerate a complete body from mere fragments as small as 1/100th of their original body size.
So they're Wolverine. They're just Logan.
Yeah. A head fragment can regrow a body and tail. A tail can regrow a head, including the eyes and the brain. Middle fragments can regenerate both a tail and a head. So you can
divide one of these things into 3, and at the end of the day, have 3 complete flatworms.
Yeah, those are just examples, but it says 1/100th. So couldn't you divide it into 100?
100? You could create 100 flatworms by...
Yeah, that's why they can just...
by dicing this.
They're fine with being... If you are a bird and you take a bite out of this piece of Uncle Ben's ready rice... and
Uncle Ben's booger rice.
And a little bit falls down back into the water, we got ourselves another
unlimited
flatworm.
Snacks.
Yeah.
This is the unending flour and oil jar that Elijah gives to the widow. It's just like as long as you leave a little bit in there, it'll be back. Don't worry.
Yeah, regeneration typically takes 1 to 2 weeks. So if you can wait, you can slice and dice up into 100 pieces and have 100. You can have a bowl of rice. You
gotta make the rounds. You gotta be like, okay, I'm gonna eat most of Ted this week or today, and then like next week I'm gonna eat most of Fred, who spawned from Ted, and by the time you come back to Ted, now you have Ted and Ted 2, and you can...
It's like exponential growth.
You can kind of just...
Yeah, it's compound interest.
You can 10x your business.
Molecular stuff. There's names for the DNA pathways that are doing this stuff. One of them is called hedgehog for some reason.
That's fun.
I can't understand this, so we don't have to talk about it. If you're a molecular biologist, this is probably something you'd be really interested in. But
it's probably something you already know.
That's true. They maintain clear anterior-posterior axis during regeneration, so head to tail, which is guided by bioelectrical signals and molecular gradients, ensuring the correct structures form in the right places. For example, if cut in half, the anterior piece will regenerate a tail, and the posterior piece will regenerate a head. In other words, if you cut it in half, it's not going to have... It's not going to be a cat dog.
Tails.
Yeah, it somehow figures out
what's left,
what it needs. Yes,
that's really cool.
It restores its original body plan. Regeneration is an energy-intensive process, and a well-fed flatworm regenerates faster. Starved individuals can still regenerate by reallocating body resources sometimes shrinking in size. So if you get cut in half, you might come back smaller if you're not getting enough snacks. Which makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just imagining this thing cut into hundredths. How is there even enough mass to be able to, like, create 100 flatworms from that? You have to eat something. You have to get some mass or energy from somewhere. And as a 100th of a flatworm, you're probably not eating you're not hunting very well, probably. So,
well, you're probably not going to regrow 100 new same-sized flatworms. You're probably going to get 100 little ones.
100 mini-me's.
Yeah.
That will have to figure out a way to eat something and then turn into like 100 full-sized flatworms one day.
The optimal temperature for enhanced regeneration speed is around 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. And extreme conditions slow it down. Immediately after injury, the wound closes within hours via muscle contraction. Muscle contraction? What muscles in 100th of it?
It's all muscle.
And epidermal spreading. Setting the stage for neoblast activity. In other words, muscles contract to, like, stretch that skin back and close the wound.
That makes sense.
So a headless.
How do we harness this? I want some.
A headless flatworm can regrow a functional brain within days, restoring behaviors like feeding and light avoidance. Some studies on related planarians suggest regenerated worms retain learned behaviors, hinting at a memory preservation in neoblasts or neural networks.
That is crazy. You could completely cut its head off, and then it grows a new head with the same memories.
Which means the pluripotent cells, there's some a memory in the cells or in the DNA, which is wild.
Goodness. It's like this flatworm shouldn't still know how to juggle, but it does.
We cut off all the juggling parts.
We cut off its head where it kept all the juggling information, and now it's a new juggling head. Yeah. I wonder what kind of learned behaviors they've determined the flatworm knows.
It's capable of asexual reproduction, which is what you said, but also it can cut itself in half.
Yeah, we've just established one.
Well, I don't know if
very
it cuts itself
effective
in half,
way of.
But it can cut it in half and make two. Even under stress, these guys can regenerate by reallocating resources, which is a process called degrowth. Oh, we talked about that, but that's the name of it. If they're starving, they'll come back smaller, which is called degrowth.
So this is just Groot. Groot does this.
Yeah. What doesn't kill you makes you smaller.
Well, in this case.
But yeah. I think the fact that it's, I think they're studying axolotls for the application of this. But the solution for the axolotl is to be a baby forever.
Yeah, be a salamander that still has gills.
Yeah. So maybe, what if we could, I think we've talked about this before. What if we could remain toddler-sized, but regrow limbs? Would that be a worthwhile endeavor? I don't know. We'd be very bad at physical movement. We probably wouldn't be able
toddler sized, but we could regrow limbs. So it would be just like if Logan the Wolverine was a hobbit.
But no, it's also you would be a toddler. You wouldn't be sized as a toddler.
You would be you would have the brain of a toddler, which means you would accomplish very little with both your mind and body.
Yeah, it would be.
And you would care very little about your accomplishments.
Yeah.
So no, not worth it.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Well, we can be like Eartops' jellyfish, where you just get to the end of your life and then Benjamin Button, just right back to the beginning, and then start again. So you're just, instead of dying, you become a baby again.
That would be interesting.
That's just essentially reincarnation. It just works for a jellyfish because they don't have a brain, so they can't. It's not like they turn into a polyp with the memories of them as a Medusa. But in this case, it seems like they can't. Like the flatworm can. They just don't. They don't revert back to like a younger stage or whatever, but they can retain memories in these cells. I just want to kind of like do what they do in, like the professor does in Futurama, and just kind of take a bunch of these cells and rub them all over like a wound, and then suddenly I'm better. Like rub them all over like an arm that I'm missing, and then have it regrow my arm.
I mean, isn't this what stem cell research is all trying to do? Take these pluripotent cells and
I think it's a little bit more I think it's a little bit more involved than
well,
just
no.
I
mean, you said you wanted this ability, but yeah, they're not just rubbing Nidarian or Planarians into their wounds.
Planarian goop into a gash.
Goop a gash. Get healed.
We're right back to leeching people.
Yeah. Turns out we were onto something back then. We just had the wrong leeches.
We had the wrong worms.
They were taking, not giving.
Right. Yeah. Or maybe just like inject it, and through a series of injected treatments, you get the cells needed to regrow a limb or a organ or
but your
something.
Organ would then be a planarian.
It would be made of slug.
Yeah.
I understand the implication.
Yeah. And you'd have to overwrite.
The question is, does your body know what to do? Would these cells know what is missing, like it does with the flatworm?
And you'd have planarian memories.
That's true. You would only be able to. Your eyes would just be eye spots. You would be gross in ponds. That's for sure.
You would remember,
by yourself.
Stay away from light.
You'd be gross in ponds by yourself. Maybe Henry David Thoreau was a planarian. Maybe he was ahead of his time.
All right, that's all I got.
Okay, well, that was the Planarian common black flatworm, whatever you want to call this common name for it. For you out there in Podcastia, chill in the muck of shallow, clean, fresh water. Be gross in a pond by yourself, and regrow your head if you lose it, like the flatworm here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we have a Patreon that you can find by going to ldtaxonomy.com/donate. All of our episodes are uploaded there. Sign up for free to engage with us, leave episode suggestions, or chat with other animal enthusiasts. If you find it in your heart to donate, it will help us cover some costs and continue to make the show. Plus, we'll thank you every week. Most importantly, thank you all for listening.
Anime is my favorite in the world podcast.
But only if you lose it.
Some of those
If you
were
already
not
have one, don't-
actionable pieces
don't
of
worry about
advice.
Chilling in the muck of shallow, clean, fresh water is very actionable.
Yes, I said some of them. Like what?
Being
That's
gross and
fine.
upon by
Being gross
yourself
and
is
upon by
also
yourself is
actionable.
not good, but it is possible.
It is actionable, yes.
The last
Should you
one is a
action?
difficult one
No.
to take action. The CTA is falling flat on that one.